Welcome to module number 1, video lecture 4. Today we are going to discuss about the preparation of network diagram using critical path method. So consider an example which consists of 6 activities from A to F, and the corresponding durations are given by 2, 3, 2, 1, 3 and 2 days respectively. So if you see this network diagram, and if you remember the fundamental things what we have discussed in our previous video lecture 3. So the network of this diagram consists of the arrows. Okay, all the arrows are in forward direction. So if you take this example, you can see all the directions, all the arrows are in forward direction, right? If you take this, so any arrow, you take any arrow, all the arrows are in forward direction. So it may change this direction, but all the arrows in forward direction. That is one thing. And the next thing is activities. The description of the activities is represented on the top of the arrow mark. If you see A, D, C, these are nothing but description of the activities. Here it is represented by a letter. But actually, if you take an actual scenario of a construction project, there you can able to write the description of the activities. We'll take one example in the next coming discussion. So next is, so what are these? The dotted line arrow mark is having the dotted arrow mark which represents the dummy activities. We will see what are these importance of dummy activity as per our previous discussion. And the next one is the events. So if you see the events is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. So there are 5 major events in this activity. That event is represented using the numericals and it is inside the circle. So this circle or this node or this ellipse oval shape indicates the event. So all these basics we have discussed in the previous class. So let us have a detailed understanding with respect to this example. So what you can able to understand this here, the activities A, B and C start at the same time. So can you able to observe here? So if you observe the various activities, so the activities A, so B, C, all these 3 activities are starting in the same time. See, A, B, C. Our next one is D follows the completion of A and B. So for example, D. So D is the activity which is going to initiate or is going to start only after the completion of the activity A, B and C. That's what you can able to interpret by using this network diagram. And next, what about the next one? E. The activity E starts after C and D are completed. Okay. If you are able to see this here, the event D, C and D. After this completion of event C and D, the event, or not event, it is activity will going to start. And next one, the project is over when C, E and F are completed. Finally, when the activities E and F are completed, your complete project will going to, there will be a completion of the project. So that's what we can able to understand. Some of the important points to be noted here is, if you take the part of the network diagram, the activities A and B are concurrent. As I told you, the activity A and B, they are moving, they are starting at the same time, and they should be able to execute at the same duration and they are at the same level in this project. So how to represent that? You see, the event 0, event 1 and event 2. So the event 1 is associated with this activity A, and this activity B is also moving in the same phase as per the activity A. So in that way, you should be able to use this dummy activity. So to enable their description by the event numbers, you can able to use this dummy activity. So if you take this, if you see this figure number 15, So this is the incorrect representation. You should not represent this when the activities are concurrent, when they're going to start at the same phase at the same time. You should able to use, you should not able to use like this representation. So in that it will logically, as I told you, these dummy activities are those activities which is going to have some importance to represent the network diagram in a logical manner. Like this, you can't able to do it. So that's what you add one more event one, okay, and you introduce this dummy activity, this arrow you make it as a dummy activity. So then it will give some logical meaning for your network activity. That is one thing. Next one. So if you take this, a part of the network, it is a figure 16 showing that F follows C. You see, after C, the D activity. Here the C and D activities are also coming in the same phase. So what we are going to do here is F follows C and E starts after the completion of C. Okay. In that way, we can able to see that a dummy activity H is going to provide a logical link so that we can able to understand that the E starts after the completion of C. So it is just a simple example in order to understand the network diagram of a typical construction activity, or you take any activity. But if you are doing a specific construction project, for example, building a house, so the concept of critical path method. So we are going to now discuss what exactly we mean this critical path method. So this critical path method is defined in the project management body of knowledge as follows. Like, so it is the method where there is will be a sequence of scheduled activities will be going on. So that will going to determine the duration of the project. So this is what is called critical path method. So we're going to understand in detail what is this. So what we understand from this definition is there will be a sequence of scheduled activities. This sequence is most important here. These activities will not be scheduled haphazardly. Okay. So these activities will be going to schedule in a sequence manner. Okay. How we are going to see here. For example, we can't able to build directly a masonry wall. If it is a, for example, load bearing structure, you can't able to keep the activity of the construction of a masonry wall directly in the first stage. Right? So once we are going to do the foundation, side stone masonry, okay, and PCC bed and all, then you can able to rise the wall. So you should have a sequence, construction sequence should able to follow, and you should able to schedule the activities. That's what, if you are building a house, you can't construct the walls and then dig the foundation. That's what, right? First the foundation, then the construction of the wall at the later stages. So that you should able to tackle or should able to keep in a specified position of in your network diagram. And one more important bit to understand is that the CPM describes the longest sequence, the critical path method. That's why we're going to call it as a critical path method. That will going to describe the longest sequence. Which sequence will be longest? Okay, in the project. So if you take any project, there will be not only one sequence. There are so many multiple sequences will be there. In that sequence, the particular this critical path method will going to highlight, which is going to describe the sequence which is going to take the most time. Okay? So which sequence will going to take maximum duration compared to other. Let us take one example. So this is one example where you can able to see there are several tasks are indicated here and there are two sequences. So what is your main objective? Your main objective is to build a house. So how to build a house and what are the different activities you should be able to carry it out, you should be able to do. First, you should be able to list out various activities. For example, digging the foundations, okay, building the walls, building the roof, or carpentry, painting, okay, and sanitary fixation, plastering. Just if you remember, if you go on telling the different activities of a construction house, you can say in a random way, but actual construction, but while building up a network diagram, it should be sequence. So if two sequence are there. So one sequence is digging the foundation, building the walls, and building the roof. And another sequence is, so you should be able to install the fixtures, install the carpentry, painting, and all. Okay. So this is one. But what is our main objective? The main objective here is to find out which one is the critical path. So just if you just see this diagram, the critical path is the path where we are going to get the maximum duration, or the sequence which is going to take the most of the time in your construction project. So you just see here 2, 4 days, 3 days. These are the activity name of the activities. Or if you take a network diagram, what are events? For example, install digging the foundation is event, building the walls event, the number of days 10, 20, and 10. For the sequence one, let us say the sequence 1, 2 plus 4, 6, 9 days. But what about this? 10 plus 2, 30, 30 plus 10, 40. You see, the 40 days is required in order to do this sequence. So the maximum number of days the sequence which is going to follow is the 40 days. Though this is the critical path. Okay. So that's what, if you see, so each task takes a different amount of time and resource, not only the time. So each activity or each task which is going to take the different amount of time and also the resources. Resources means you take the basically concrete. Concrete is nothing but it is a mixture of sand, the cement, and water content. So these are nothing but the resources. Okay. And it takes more time to build walls and lay the roof than to install these facades and fixtures. Okay, that's what. So if you had to figure out the project's critical path, you say if you take this, you look at the sequence that takes most amount of time. So if you want to find out the critical path, what you should be able to see here, you should see the sequence of the construction having the various activities with the different resources where it will going to take most of the time. So if you see this here, this is the red color indicates the critical path because the total time is here 40 days, but here it is 9 days. Okay. So finally, we can able to say that the total time taken to complete the sequence along this critical path would give an idea of the project's minimum duration. You see, that's what the project minimum duration in order to complete the project. Minimum, it is a minimum duration because if you see the example, the building the roof, digging the foundation, building the walls, building the roof, that itself it will take 40 days. There is a minimum days. Later it will go to take more time, plastering, painting, finishing, installation, fixtures. It will take its own time further. But minimum days required is nothing but your 40 days in that example. So you might undertake several task sequence simultaneously. But if there are any delays in the critical path sequence, your project will suffer delay as well. This is most important. So why this critical path is most important? Critical path is most important because if any delay in the execution of those activities in that critical path, it will going to delay the total completion time or number of days of the project. That is most important thing. So this the complete activity. Okay, you are going to find out a critical path using the project management software in your laboratory. So I would like to conclude this module 1 here. So in the next video lecture, we are going to see the module 2, that is resource management. Okay, thank you.